What's going on, guys? Welcome to this special Nerd Archive podcast episode. It's a little bit of a shorter episode. We're just going to be talking about spoiler alert. There is many spoilers ahead. So Ant-Man Quantumania. So we're just going to give you everything that we saw. We're going to break down the movie really quick and our favorite parts of the movie, our least favorite part of the movies, and what we think is going to happen moving forward from this movie. So, this is Yadi, Lewis, and Lola. We don't have Justin here today. He's not feeling well today. So, and we just wanted to get this as fresh as possible because we want to make sure we have everything that we saw in our mind. So, with that being said, again, welcome to the Nerd Archive podcast. Have fun.
Yay.
Yay. So listen, a lot of people are saying that this movie was trash.
Yeah, a lot.
And
I
they can
mean,
go screw themselves.
yeah, it wasn't as bad as people, painted it out, whatever. But
Right. I
no,
think that it was a lot better than what people made it seem to be. Um it's it's the closest thing to what the MCU used to be.
Agreed.
There was, yes, there was funny parts. It is what it is. That's what the other two Ant-Man movies are.
Mhm.
Ant-Man itself, sorry, you bring Paul Rudd into a movie, it's gonna be funny. And unless it's a drama, it's going to have some funny parts. So I wasn't expecting anything less. The Thor, when we watched Thor, I think it had way too many funny parts for what the movie is, but Ant-Man, that's what I was expecting. That's how I feel about the movie. I think it was a great movie. I think it was. Were they parts where they're like, okay, they should have skipped this? Yeah, obviously. But there's a bunch of movies that are like that. So I don't think that this was a bad movie. I think that this is the best that we've gotten in the last, what? I want to say it's the best
Since
thing we've gotten
Endgame?
since Homecoming. Or
I
No Way Home.
No Way
Sorry.
Home.
No Way Home.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Black Panther was good, the second one, but it was different type of good. It was more like
Grieving.
a
it was a
grieving.
closure.
It was a
Yeah.
closure
Yeah,
movie, definitely. But I this was kind of a slow burn kind of movie with the funny involved, but it was a
Right.
kind of slow burn movie, if that
Right.
makes sense.
yeah. I
For
think that since they're starting to build up to something bigger, they probably wanted to take it slow and not introduce too many things.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, I think it was a good setup movie.
I agree. I agree. And the way that they portrayed Kang the Conqueror was perfect because he is in the comic books. He's not one to like just jump to conclusions or to do something. He's very meticulous in everything he does, and they showed it fantastic on here. Pun intended.
Um, the only thing I had a problem with in this movie was I forget her mom's name, Hope's mom.
Uh, damn.
Right.
I was gonna say something about her, and before we started the episode, I had her name in my head.
Here, I'm gonna Google it real quick.
Intern Steve. For those that don't know who Kang the Conqueror is, in the comic books, his real name is Nathaniel Richards. He is from the 30th century. The reason he turns into Kang the Conqueror is because obviously he is Nathaniel Richards. Not only he is the descendant of Reed Richards, he's also the descendant of Doctor Doom. Um, Somewhere along the line, descendants of both of them had,
Mated?
yeah, they had kids, and um, then somewhere along the line, Nathaniel Richards was born. So you get um, Kang the Conqueror. Actually, you get Ramatut. Ramatut. Um, it's because he goes back to Egypt and tries to take over the world that way. And when he goes back to he gets stopped by the Fantastic Four. Actually, Ramatut was the first big villain that the Fantastic Four had. And when he gets beaten, he has to move back to um to his timeline, but he ends up in the present timeline and he picks up a different name. And then when he tries to move on to his timeline, he ends up 15 years, or not 15 years. He ends up in a timeline where he's only 15 years old. So he runs into himself, and he's trying to convince himself as a younger self to be a villain, and that's where his younger self actually decides not to, and becomes a hero and becomes Iron Lad. So there's a bunch of things. He actually becomes uh the Kang the Conqueror. When he goes back to his timeline, he actually ends up, he overshoots, and instead of going to the 30th century, he goes to the 31st century by mistake. But since he's already there, he's like, you know what? I'm just going to take over. And he does take over. So that's a little history on Kang the Conqueror. Um, he does, there's three main names that he takes. And it is obviously Kang the Conqueror, Ramatut, um, I'm trying to remember.
Seems like one of them was a scientist.
He is He Who Remains, which is the one that we saw in Loki. Kang the Conqueror. Um, we saw Victor Timely, which, spoilers, there's a mid-credit scene that Loki shows up, and they are watching Victor Timely, which he is a kind of like a magician of some sort. And then he also one of the so we saw three in the after credit scene. We saw Ramatut, we saw Scarlet Centurion, which is the one that he ends up in the present time, and which his armor, it's sort of like Doctor Doom's armor. It's all metal. And then Immortus. Those are the three ones that we saw at the end of Ant-Man movie.
Mortis is the one with the red robe.
Immortus, it is, and no, that's Scarlet Centurion. Ramatut is obviously the Pharaoh, and the other one was Immortus. Because Scarlet Centurion, it's a blend. His suit or the way he looks is a blend of Doctor Doom and Scarlet Witch. That's why it's like reddish robe and stuff like that. And then the scene that we see at the end where you see all these Kang the Conquerors in that stadium, that scene was taken from the comic books. So that was pretty cool, I think. So
Yeah, I
now
think they
that
were pretty comic book like
accurate,
accurate. Yeah.
yeah. So, what was your favorite part of this movie?
My favorite part was when the pink thing got holes
Mhm.
Yeah,
because he was so curious what holes were and what came out of them.
it's funny because everyone's like, "I didn't know he could do that."
I
That's
think he
hilarious.
didn't know he could do that.
Yeah. What about you, Lola?
So I don't have a favorite part, but I was trying to say earlier that my least favorite part is Janet, which is her name, her mom's name,
Van Dyke.
um, Janet Van Dyke. How she kept being like her whole spiel is like, I was not telling you because I wanted to protect you. Shut the fuck up. Like you're not, that whole spiel. I don't like when they do that in movies. I think that's been overdone and overused.
I'm sorry if you try to protect us. Tell us what it is so we don't go there.
Right. It's right. It's just it's kind of like a logical thing of like if you tell them what might be waiting for them, they might be able to like defend themselves. They might not be able to, completely fair, you're right, but also they might be able to defend themselves. But that whole like uh it's been written into so many movies. It's overused.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. But
I
it's
don't want to
also
tell you
Hollywood.
because I don't want to. I'm trying to protect you. I don't want to tell you. I think if I tell you, you're going to be in danger. They're already in danger. They're already tiny and in the, what's it called? In the when they're small, when they're really small.
In the quantum realm?
They're in the quantum realm already. Like you're not going to be able to defend themselves. You're not going to be able to defend them. They're not going to be able to defend themselves because they don't know what they're defending themselves against. So
Right.
just and my thing is they use that so much during the movie.
I
Yeah.
I get I get that, but at the same time, you got to think about it. If she would have told them, it would have had gone there. We didn't have a movie.
No, they still could have had a movie if they knew what they were defending themselves against. They're still stuck in the quantum realm. There's no changing that.
Right.
And there's still like very minimal that they can do with the tools they have because they only went with the tools they had at the time. They still got sucked in and there's still like there's not just the fact that they can't defend themselves because they don't have the correct tools, but also it's the race against time because they know they're very conscious and very aware that if you stay in the quantum realm for too long, you're not going to go back out in the correct timeline.
Right.
So there's different ways that they could have taken it. They could have taken that route, but no, they chose to go with the very typical, I'm not telling you because I want you to be safe.
Right.
And again, it's been overused. You could have used something else. So I see where people are coming from. Was it a bad movie? No, but did they keep using stuff that's been overused? Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. And that's one of the reasons why I get to know what's going to happen in movies because they've been it there are so you can tell by the segues they're using what's going to happen. And you have to if you pay attention to those, you remember, oh, that happened in a different movie and this happened. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm able to decipher movies before the climax hits because it's overused, just like you're saying.
Yeah.
So so that's your least favorite. What's your
Yeah.
favorite? Like, what was the best part, you think?
I don't think I have a best part. If anything, the same thing with the little blob guy. I love them. Actually, that and Modoc.
Oh, yeah, don't be a
Toward,
dick.
Don't be
don't
a
be a
dick.
dick, but also towards the end when he's like, when he's like, and I died an Avenger.
And
It's true,
everyone's like,
buddy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Uh,
But actually, going back to Modoc, not all the way at the beginning, but like kind of mid movie when Ant-Man is like, I just noticed your tiny legs.
my favorite part is when Modoc is dying and he touches of his face, and I'm like, oh my god, like I understand why they did that. It was funny.
Yeah,
It just I'm like Jesus Christ.
yeah. But
My
also,
Modoc's favorite moment was when they were putting him in the suit, and they show his little
Yeah,
butt
his little butt.
handling.
that's funny.
um, the scene between him and Cass, and she's like, "Dude, don't be a dick," and he's like, "But I've been a dick for so long. How can it change?
Just don't be one.
Just don't be one."
Yes. No, I completely agree. I think that Modoc he stole the show,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it just reminded me of Spy Kids of George Lopez.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every time.
It wasn't Spy Kids. It was Shark Boy and
Oh,
Lava
Shark
Girl.
Boy and Lava
Yeah.
Girl.
Yeah.
Those
Same
movies.
bullshit.
Yeah. It's not the same bullshit, buddy. Get it together. Come on. Come on.
I'm sorry, Taylor Lautner.
I don't care about Taylor Lautner. I cared more about Lava Girl. But you know what? Bisexual awakening. That's all I'm saying.
Oh well. Moving on. Uh so let's break down the movie real quick.
Okay.
We start off with really
Everything's
quick. This is
perfect.
here's one thing that actually didn't hit me until today because I was watching TikToks all day, even though I was at work. Don't worry about it. So it is the 31st movie of the MCU, and they made it a point to have Baskin Robbins in it, and they have 31 flavors
Even their
because
logo is a 31.
right. So and not only that, but in one of the scenes of the movie where he's in the probability state or realm or whatever it is called, they make it a point for him to show up in the Baskin Robin uniform.
Yeah.
So this movie was brought to you by Baskin Robbins.
So actually, I have a side note on that because the first Ant-Man, we can see all the work with the ants that they've done, hence
Mhm.
the name Ant-Man. But in this one, we went back to that. We
Right.
went while in that probability realm, we saw him, when they were all the Scots were like getting together, and that's a very ant thing. That's an ant
Right.
formation from nature. And then all the way at the end, when Hank Pym came out with all the ants, it's like, oh, okay, so we're going back to the basics with
Right.
all the ants. Because I feel like with the second one, we strayed away from, the ants and Ant-Man. It was more so about the quantum realm and all that stuff. And then every time we've seen Ant-Man since has been about the quantum realm. But we haven't seen, again, the basics, which is Ant-Man being Ant-Man.
Right.
But also we again get to see a little bit of why Hank was the OG Ant-Man.
Right, because he actually did his
Yeah.
thing with the ants. So
Yeah.
agreed completely.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that they went back to the basics. And I love how they break the fourth wall, or his daughter breaks the fourth wall, like saying, yeah, okay, you were an Avenger, you fought Captain America. And he's like, I didn't fight Captain America, I fought with him. You think I'm crazy?
Yeah.
But where I think that they broke the fourth wall was, yeah, you talk about all this, but you're not helping people anymore. Like you're just so focused on everything that happened that you're not doing anything right now.
See, I disagree with that. And I was very annoyed with Cassie the entire movie, because she kept being like, I understand you have a suit, you want to be a super, you want to partake, and you want to help people. But don't blame your dad for losing 5 years of your life and then coming back and wanting to spend as much time with you as possible and trying to catch up on all that lost time. That wasn't his fault. He got stuck in an unfortunate situation, and then the first thing that he did once he came out of the quantum realm was look for you.
Right.
And you were no longer a little girl, you were a teenager. So I guess
Which
he was.
I was very upset that they recasted her.
Why? It's the same girl as the Endgame girl.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, that's the one that they recast.
Please hold.
When he shows up, it is not her. It's a girl with long black hair that look more
From
like herself.
Endgame?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this is a new girl.
Also, there wasn't too many lines before, so
Right. She was adorable when she was a kid, though.
She was.
I'm glad that they actually showed her as a kid in this
again,
movie.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because you're looking.
What?
Yeah. You're looking, and all I can see is the scene where he shows up at her house, and the only thing that she does is touch his face.
You can see it on my glasses?
N- No, but that's what I can see in my head. Is
Oh, yeah, yeah,
I see
yeah.
her face, but like in disbelief, and she's like, and touches his face, like, I can't believe it's you.
Yeah, I'm not upset about the recast. I like this new girl better. I just don't like her fucking attitude towards her dad. Like, bitch, you lost 5 years with your dad and you don't want that back? Like, you want him to keep avenging? And, like, you do realize his life is on the line when he's avenging.
No, but what I gathered is that he, every time that she asked him to help somebody, he's like, no, it's not our fight because it had nothing to do with him.
And I
That's
understand that, but also, like, that's when you're in to help somebody, you're not in to help for like 2 seconds and then you're like, oh, well, I did as much as I could. Sorry, I gotta go. My daughter needs me. No, if you're making the what's it called? The promises of helping somebody, you're in it through, you have to see it through.
I understand that, but I think that her problem with her dad was the fact that he talked about so much of what he did as an Avenger that he wasn't helping people anymore as an Avenger.
Right. No, I
Like
understand that.
like you want to say all these great things that you did, but you don't want to help people anymore. That's what I gather from that. Um, but I digress. Um, so moving on from this to when we start seeing my favorite part of the whole movie was, to me, the storyline was good. I think that the storyline was it fit the movie. My least favorite part was this Kang so powerful gets defeated by the ants. And yes, he eventually gets defeated by Scott, but he in his mighty he gets defeated by the ants. And I understand they played it to a point where they're like, okay, they explain it how why before they defeated him that they jumped into a different dimension and it they lived for thousands of years before they got to that point, and so they were smarter and stronger, and I get that. You explained it without for no reason. You explained it but then gave us a reason, because if they didn't explain that and then these ants defeated Kang, it would have made no sense. So, but I think that the fight between Scott and Kang should have been longer. I'm not upset at the ants defeating him, it's how quickly. So, that's my least favorite part.
See, I think Scott should have stayed permanently in this quantum realm.
That's what I thought it was going to happen.
Right,
When
I did too.
at the end, I thought that what I thought I was going to happen. This was my theory going into this movie. For some reason, I already knew that they were going to fight and that this portal was going to open at the end. And they were all going to go in. But before he went in, they would close out the movie. And then in Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty, it would open up with him coming out years later. Like there was actually a jump in time from when they went in to the time they came out, and the portal never closed. It's just the movie ends as him going in through the portal, but one of the Avengers movies starts and he's coming out and it's in the future. I thought that's how they were gonna end it, although they didn't tell us that it didn't end that way.
No, that was my thought, that how he disappeared. Um, because he could have died, and they did say something at the end of the post credits, but I feel like that's basically what happened to him. That he did just disappear and will appear somewhere else.
So I have a theory. Do you guys have anything else before I close out with a theory?
No.
Okay. So my theory is that he did not die. He got sucked in to this device that what's his face? Scott was in. It's just it was larger, and that's where the probability realm appeared. So Scott, or not Scott, Kang is trapped in there, and he is going to learn from his probability, become more powerful. Kang Dynasty is going to be all of these Kangs fighting with the Avengers, and at the end of the movie, it opens up. He's able to come out, and that's where Secret Wars comes out. Because in Secret Wars, actually, before I go into that, he gets that probability is actually probably um, the Beyond, and he becomes the Beyonder in the MCU, which is the one of the most powerful beings in the Marvel comics. And in the comic books for the Secret Wars, the Beyonder creates this uh, universe, this war universe, that he brings all these superheroes and villains to fight each other. So they haven't introduced the Beyonder yet, but they can use Kang dying as a segue to becoming the Beyonder for the MCU and start off the movie with Secret Wars. It could be because Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars are going to be a year uh, difference. So Kang Dynasty might end up with the Beyond opening and this Conqueror coming out as the Beyonder and starting Secret Wars. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's complicated, but also we've seen how the MCU can be.
Yeah.
Not impossible.
Right. Also, I saw something on TikTok today.
Oh, did you? What did you
Yeah.
see?
It was someone explaining the timeline for the MCU, how complicated it got because of Loki. Because what's her name again? Hope's mom, Janet.
Janet.
Got it.
She got sucked in the 80s. So that means that she met Kang in the 80s. So I saw that because Loki takes place when the one who remains is alive still, that Loki actually takes place in the 80s because him dying makes Kang the Conqueror more powerful, and he was sent to the quantum realm because everyone else was scared of him.
The only thing I have to say to that is the quantum realm and the TVA exist outside of time and space. So doesn't matter what time they're, what time they're, getting sent to where and what. Not really, because they're exist outside of time and space, so therefore they can have an arbitrary point of beginning.
No, I completely, yes, I get that, but the city wasn't built until Kang was there. And the TVA we're all theorized that is in the quantum realm.
Mhm.
Because they can move through time without changing anything.
Right, but that's a theory.
Right. Okay. So the theory is that because the city was already built and the one who remains was there and he was kind of controlling it and it was more advanced, it means that it was after um the Kang the Conqueror died. Does that make sense?
No.
Fuck it. Let's move on. TikTok lies to me sometimes.
Can you send me the TikTok? Maybe I'll understand it better that way.
Okay.
But
Fantastic.
I just, like I said, because they're existing outside of time and space, it doesn't really matter what the point of origin is, because they're outside of time and space.
They're at 0.0.
Right. So for anything to matter, they would have to be outside of that bubble that
Right.
is the 0 point.
Okay. No, I understand that.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting because the timelines in the MCU are all fucked up now.
Because of Loki?
Of
Like
Loki,
2012 Loki?
Endgame, all of these. You don't know when Shang-Chi takes place. You don't know when, like, we always had like a point of origin for the movies. And we don't anymore.
You're right. But the only thing that we have as a point of origin per se is after Thanos. And because they always mention like after the blip and this and that. And then after the blip and this and that. Or before the blip, this was happening. But after the blip, this and that. You know what I mean?
Right. No,
Or after half the population came back. Or after,
yeah, but
so and
Loki,
so.
also the Loki that we see is Loki from 2012.
Right.
So wherever he went, if we went back in time or if we went back into a different timeline or if he went into the future, whatever it is not 2012 anymore. But
No,
they don't explain it.
From my understanding, he's a variant. So again, he's outside of time and space.
Right.
Like the rest of the Lokis are.
Right. Okay. All right. With that being said, do you have anything else?
Do send me that TikTok though.
I will.
Thank you.
Yadi, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Okay. And with that is the end of this episode. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully, we didn't spoil anything for you. We did say it at the beginning of the episode. So if you stayed and got spoiled,
Keep talking.
it's because of you. You did this to yourself. And also stay off social media if you don't want to be spoiled. So make sure you follow us on all our social media even though I just told you to stay off. But if you watch this, you already got spoiled, so it doesn't matter. So, thank you again. Stay nerdy, be yourself, and go watch the movie. Go watch the damn movie. Don't worry about what everyone else is saying. Don't worry about what we just said, but worry about it. Just watch the movie and make your mind yourself. Don't worry about what everyone else is saying.
Yeah, go
Thank
see
you.
why Bill Murray was there too. So
Yeah. And he was a villain. He was a villain in this movie. I guess he's
don't
just
tell
portraying
him. Don't
himself
spoil
now.
it.
Oh, too bad. We spoiled everything else. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.